When a billionaire's daughter is stranded and vulnerable, alone on the side of the road with no security, no assistance, and no familiar safety net, fear sets in for the first time in her life. Her phone is nearly dead, her car is broken, and the world suddenly feels cold and uncertain. That's when a single dad mechanic pulls over, not because he expects a reward, recognition, or favor, but because helping others is simply who he is. He doesn't recognize her name, her family, or the wealth attached to her life. To him, she's just a young woman in trouble. With calm hands and steady focus, he inspects the engine, explains the problem honestly, and refuses to overcharge or intimidate her. His skill is obvious, but it's his quiet strength. The patience in his voice, the respect in his words, and the way he treats her like a human being rather than a status, that begins to change something deep inside her. As they talk, she notices the worn tools, the tired eyes, and the subtle signs of a man who carries responsibility alone. He mentions his child, waiting for him at home, and how every job matters because someone depends on him. For the first time, she sees real sacrifice, real dignity, and real love, unpolished, unseen, and unpaid by luxury. That moment becomes a turning point. Stranded and afraid, she discovers something no elite school or billionaire lifestyle ever taught her. True strength isn't loud, rich, or powerful. It's humble, steady, and willing to show up when no one is watching. Used to privilege and constant attention, she has grown up surrounded by comfort, protection, and praise that often feels rehearsed and hollow. People smile because they recognize her last name, open doors because of her family's influence, and offer kindness that usually carries an unspoken expectation. Until now, she never questioned it. This was simply her world. But in this quiet, unexpected moment, she experiences something entirely different. Care with no strings attached. The single dad mechanic listens without interrupting, helps without boasting, and reassures her without trying to impress her. He doesn't ask who she is, doesn't flatter her, and doesn't treat her like someone above him or beneath him. He treats her like a person. When he could have exaggerated the problem or taken advantage of her fear, he chooses honesty. When he could have rushed the job, he takes his time to make sure she's safe. As she watches him work, she notices the small sacrifices that define his life. The cracked hands, the outdated tools, the exhaustion he carries quietly. He speaks about his child not with complaint, but with pride, explaining how every long day and missed comfort is worth it if it means giving his son or daughter a better future. There is no bitterness in his voice, only responsibility and love. For the first time, she understands that real security isn't bought with money or guaranteed by power. It's built through integrity, through showing up when it's inconvenient, and through a parent who puts others before himself. In that moment, she feels safer than she ever has in a world of wealth. And something inside her begins to change. When her mother finally arrives and witnesses the scene unfolding before her, she expects fear, anger, or blame. Instead, she sees calm. She sees her daughter standing beside an unfamiliar man, safe, composed, and strangely changed. As she listens to what happened, the truth slowly sinks in, not through dramatic words, but through the quiet details of the mechanic's actions. He refused payment beyond the bare minimum. He stayed longer than necessary to make sure the car wouldn't fail again. He spoke to her daughter with respect, patience, and honesty, never once asking who she was or what her family owned. When the mother asks why he would go out of his way for a stranger, his answer is simple and unpolished. "I'd hope someone would do the same for my kid." As the conversation continues, she learns about his life, how he lost his wife, how he works long hours to raise his child alone, how every sacrifice he makes is driven by love and responsibility. There is no bitterness, no demand for sympathy, only quiet endurance. Each word cuts deeper than any tragedy she has ever witnessed, because it is real. Overwhelmed, the mother's composure breaks. Tears fall as she realizes something painful and beautiful at the same time. This ordinary man, with grease-stained hands and a tired heart, has given her daughter something no fortune ever could: a lesson in humanity, humility, and true love. In that moment, she understands that while money can protect, It cannot teach character. And that gift will stay with her daughter forever.